Hi, my name is Marcus Pedersen, and welcome to Recess. Today, we're joined by Dr. Rueben Shipway, a marine biologist from the University of Plymouth. His focus are on shipworms and gribbles. However, today, he's going to be talking to us about AI, academic integrity, and a paper he wrote using ChatGPT with his colleagues.
Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. This presentation is on the implications of AI, specifically ChatGPT, on academia and also a little bit on society as a whole. So I'm not just going to be talking about ChatGPT, I'm also going to be looking at the wider umbrella of OpenAI, which is the company that runs ChatGPT. They also have a program as well called DALL-E, and that functions in pretty much exactly the same way as ChatGPT, but for images. And throughout this presentation, I've actually put in a bunch of these images generated by DALL-E, and you essentially put in a prompt. So this cover image here is a pre-Raphaelite painting of a university student plagiarizing an essay using ChatGPT. And you hit generate and it comes up with a series of images, and this is one of the images that I selected. I think it's quite an interesting one as a topic for this talk. Okay, so what prompted this invite to come and talk to you all today was a paper that has been submitted with my colleagues here, Dr. Pete Cotton and Professor Debbie Cotton. The paper is called Chatting and Cheating, Ensuring Academic Integrity in the Era of ChatGPT. And at the moment, it's available on preprint server edArchive. The link is at the top here for you to follow. But it has also been submitted to assessment and evaluation in higher education and will hopefully be coming out soon. And the origin story of this paper, Pete and I are marine biologists, and we had set coursework for students, and it was a 500-word essay, and there were various essay topics. And Pete sent an email, and it basically said, "What do you think about this essay?" And the topic was bioluminescence in the marine world. And I read through it, and I thought, oh, that kind of looks like it had been written by ChatGPT, because I've been playing around with it over Christmas. And then I read a sentence right at the end in the discussion, in the conclusion, and it said that new research was shedding light on this beautiful phenomenon. And I thought shedding light and bioluminescence was too sophisticated for an AI chatbot. How wrong I was. The essay that Pete sent had been entirely written by AI. And I think it's really quite interesting, and it's got profound implications for academia. So that's essentially how this paper started. I then immediately emailed Pete back, and I said to Pete, how would you feel about using ChatGPT to write an academic paper on the dangers of ChatGPT to academia itself? He agreed. He talked to his wife about submitting the paper as well, and we essentially wrote this entire paper through ChatGPT. And the only bit of novel writing actually is in the discussion that we wrote. So essentially, this new program has written an entire academic paper. I think that's really quite interesting. We're going into new territory here as academics. Okay, so the first image, in the style of David Hockney, create an oil painting titled "Artificial Intelligence Jumps into a Pool." Splash. Okay, so what is ChatGPT and how does it work? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this particular point, because I think it's something that's really easily accessible by everybody. Essentially, the thing that you need to know is that ChatGPT has been trained on a colossal data set of billions of different data points, and it's basically analyzed language across multiple different websites, thousands and thousands and thousands of websites. And what it does is when you put in a prompt, or you ask a question, or you ask it to do something, it is designed to almost instantaneously produce or write something back that looks as if a human has produced it. And it's done this by basically studying the patterns of websites and things that have been previously written. This is how it works. So this is what ChatGPT looks like. You basically put your prompt in here. So I told ChatGPT that I was giving a talk here today. ChatGPT, I'm giving a talk about you to colleagues at UCL. Is there anything you would like to say to the audience? Okay, you type that in, you hit submit down here, and it almost instantaneously gives you an answer back. So I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to come and listen to me. And then at the end, I'm looking forward to what the future of AI holds for all of us. If you want to change any of the settings, it's really easy to change them here, but you can see this is quite a clean and intuitive interface. It's pretty easy. And then if you don't like your answer, you can either change your input at the top, or you can hit refresh and it will give you something new. And ChatGPT actually follows previous conversations that you had. So it will give you a different answer depending on what you've previously discussed or talked about. Right, the ChatGPT, the chat is out the bag. In the style of Edward Munch, create an oil painting titled "The Cat is Out the Bag." So this is a graph that shows the trends of ChatGPT over time. It was produced using Google Trends. So the way it works, people will search things in Google. Google will collate the answers and it will give you information about how popular a specific search term has been. So 30th of November, this was when the chat was let out the bag. This is when OpenAI launched ChatGPT, 30th of November. Within the first week or so, it started generating quite a lot of news headlines. So this particular one here, and I'm basing all of these news headlines at specific peaks in the graph. So this is Google is done. BBC, new AI chatbot, is everybody talking to it? Next peak, AI tools like ChatGPT turn the information world on its head. Microsoft plans a 10 billion stake in ChatGPT. And then this is Nature evaluating a series of papers that have been submitted to various different journals with ChatGPT as a co-author. A couple of additional things to point out. This 5 days after first release is when ChatGPT recorded 1 million users. And then approximately 5 weeks after it was launched, it's recorded 500 million users. Let's compare this to the growth of Facebook. So this shows how many people have used Facebook since Facebook was created up until about 2012. And we've got ChatGPT at the top, just to anchor us. And we can see that it took Facebook about a year to generate 1 million users. It took ChatGPT 5 days to do the same, and it took Facebook about 6.5 to 7 years to generate 500 million users. ChatGPT has already done this in 5 weeks. We can then look at the number of actual news articles or related news content to ChatGPT. So this was last week. You can see over time since it was launched 30th of November, follow it all the way up until present day. It's approximately 4 million different news articles recorded by Google on Google News when you look at Google metrics. And you can actually see the various different regions of people actually searching for ChatGPT, 207 regions around the world. So when I say the chat is out the bag, the chat is out the bag. This technology is here, people know about it, and hundreds of millions of people are already using it. So ChatGPT, a universe of possibilities. In the style of Starry Night Sky, paint Van Gogh contemplating a future where AI generates his artistic style. All right, so I had some fun with ChatGPT just to demonstrate to everybody what it can actually do and how you can actually use it creatively. So I asked ChatGPT to write me a song, and the song was in the style of Beyonce, but it was performed by Boris Johnson, and it includes a rap featuring Rishi Sunak. And this is what it came up with. So Boris Johnson, I'm the Prime Minister, I'm the one who's charged, I'm the leader of the nation, I'm the one who's large. Then we can go down to Rishi Sunak, I'm the Chancellor, I'm the one with the plan, I'm the one who's going to make sure that we can stand. Then we've got a rap verse, we got the power, we got the strength. And we've got a chorus, we're going to make it through this, we're going to make it all right. And then I asked DALL-E to actually produce a original piece of artwork, so all on canvas. It doesn't actually do politicians, so you have to basically describe what you want. And from the description, dishevelled blonde hair, I think this is scarily like Boris Johnson, this image. And then to top it off, we've got a background featuring some nice ornate gold wallpaper. All right, so we wrote a song, we produced some original artwork. Got the lyrics of the song, but we actually need the music. And this is to demonstrate that ChatGPT can actually code quite competently. So I asked it in R to design code to produce an original pop song, and it actually came up with this, but you can ask it to code. So for my research, I was doing some metagenomic research. I asked it to produce some code for metagenomic analysis, and it was actually pretty decent code. So it can code quite competently. What else? Provide a series of provocative and controversial song titles based on the previous lyrics from that song, particularly like number 1, Betrayal of the Nation, and number 10, The End of Trust. And then asked it to design scenes for a music video, and it actually came up with an entire music video here, all the scenes for a music video. And then asked it to write a budget for the music video as well. So we've got an entire budget and justification for this music video. And then because this is going to be a worldwide hit, we have to translate it into multiple different languages. So I asked it to do Hungarian, Icelandic, Mongolian, and Swahili. Hit enter, and it translated that chorus almost instantaneously. So we've had a little bit of fun with ChatGPT here. We've shown how you can use it creatively and the various different applications. And this is by no means all that you can do with it. As I say here, a universe of possibilities. One way that's really quite interesting. So this is a job advertisement that's currently available at UCL. So I copied everything on this webpage about this role and what UCL is actually looking for. And I asked ChatGPT to write a cover letter for this specific role, and I just copied in all that paste. I copied in all that text. This is what it came up with. So you can actually see this is pretty good as a cover letter. So this has got really interesting and challenging applications that we're going to have to deal with, and let's explore that a little bit. So the future landscapes of ChatGPT, all on canvas landscape in the style of Turner, humanity and AI. I must say, when I asked it to produce a series of options, pretty much all the landscapes were quite bleak. I don't know what that says about our future with AI. Okay, so we need to have a look at ChatGPT, and we need to see what it means for us as academics and what it means for universities. So let's look at it for students. We've seen it can write a pretty good cover letter. We've seen it can write pretty much 80% of a paper that has been submitted to a journal. So coursework, it can do absolutely no problem. Admissions, what does this mean for student admissions to universities? Do we trust personal statements or personal letters or CVs anymore? What does it mean about AI plagiarism or plagiarism? Don't know if that one will catch on, but it's certainly something for us to really consider, because as I've shown already, this has been accessed 500 million times. It's only going to get more popular. The software is only going to get more powerful. So how are we actually going to be able to detect original work done by students? And then we've got to ask the question, is this a tool that's going to enhance writing skills? Is it going to allow students and academics and anybody who's accessing it to actually evaluate their own writing skills? Or does the fact that an AI can really competently write quite well mean that we're going to use it as a crutch and our writing skills are going to basically atrophy? So academics, what does it mean for hiring? Well, if I can produce a cover letter that's really quite good and to quite a high standard, how are we going to sift through potential candidates? Does it mean we have to put more emphasis on the actual in-person interviews? What does it mean for personnel? What does it mean for job security? How is that going to change? If AI can really competently answer a bunch of questions, if it can produce papers, what does that mean for jobs within academia? How is the landscape of roles within a university going to change? How much of it is going to be replaced by AI? Publications, what does this mean for academic integrity in scientific work, in publications that are submitted to different journals? How are journals actually going to be able to detect whether something has been written by AI? Is this an arms race now where you have AI that can write really well versus AI that can detect stuff that's written by AI? And how are those two going to compete? And then degree relevance. If this is something that can code really well, or it can write really well, or it can produce a music video, what does that mean for the degrees that we are currently offering? How are those degrees going to change in the future? Are they still relevant? And then let's look at this, let's step back a little bit, let's get a bird's eye view. What does this mean for society as a whole? Is this a revolutionary technology, or is it just a useful tool like a calculator? Do we ban this, or do we adopt it? Prohibition versus adoption. Who are the winners? Who are the losers in society? And how do we regulate this? We've seen already that there are issues with Facebook. Facebook has had a profound impact on society and humanity, yet what government has really adequately regulated it? We saw the comparison of growth between ChatGPT and we saw the comparison of growth with Facebook. We still haven't effectively regulated Facebook. This ChatGPT software is here. It's only going to get better. It's only going to improve. More and more people are going to use it. What are the consequences for this? Do we need to think about regulation? So very quickly, I just want to point, this is a graph from BBC that shows the various different types of jobs that we've had in the UK. Primary is basically agriculture and mining. Secondary is manufacturing, making stuff from primary sector. Tertiary is things like educational services. And then the quaternity is things like, for example, technology, science. We can see that with the Industrial Revolution, the primary and the secondary number of jobs, they actually decreased over time as technology took more and more of those jobs. And we saw the growth in the tertiary and quaternary. We've got to ask ourselves the question now, is this a new form of industrial revolution? Is this an AI revolution? And what does that mean for the jobs of the future if AI can really competently do a bunch of the jobs that humans currently do? So with that, I'd like to finish. Last piece of artwork. So oil on canvas in the style of William Blake. Adam and Eve are devoured by the apple of knowledge. And what I want people to think about here is this is the forbidden fruit of knowledge. Did we eat the apple, or did the apple eat us? So with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening. My name is Dr. Rueben Shipway. Please feel free to contact me with the email address here, or you can tweet me here. And then I just want a final shout out to this paper, Chatting and Cheating, Ensuring Academic Integrity in the Era of ChatGPT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruben. That was awesome. I've never laughed so much in the background. I'm glad I was on mute. That was incredible. I love the rap, but I think on a greater scale, it's amazing to show how versatile the tool is. And I think you've done a really great way of explaining where it's come from, how it can be used now, and the question mark of how it'll be used in the future. As an aside, I think when I used to be a primary school teacher back in the day, if I was, running late behind school and I hadn't planned my week's English curriculum, I would probably be using ChatGPT to go, can you quickly plan a English lesson for 5-year-olds studying full stops? And then I could really just go through that and go, okay, I need to change that, change this. But before that, I would have had to stay up 2 hours later and do it anyway. So I think like it's only a matter of time before it seeps into every field, if it hasn't already. Now, my question is to go back to your what looked almost like a Venn diagram of students, academics, and the issues that arise from ChatGPT. So my thinking is, and I think I'm not alone in thinking that this assessment will need to change. You had that experience with your essay and shedding a light on bioluminescence, right? That essay is now written by ChatGPT. The student didn't spend any time on that. Therefore, the assessment doesn't actually really count. Therefore, that takes away from the value of the degree. So if we don't, in my mind, change assessment, then we're actually over time devaluing our degrees. I thought I'd just like to hear your opinion on that.
I think we need to have a really serious conversation. We need to meditate on it first. I think number one, people have to play around with it and people have to understand what this technology can actually do, because there are going to be some people that are just oblivious to what ChatGPT is and how it's used and the kinds of different applications it can have. So I think we need to have some experience with this first, and then we need to ask ourselves the question: is this a tool that we can use, or is this a tool that we have to try and prohibit? And can this be used to actually improve student essays? So can we use it to actually teach students how to actually structure an essay, how to actually structure an argument? Or can they actually use it to improve what would be quite a mundane task? So can they actually go into the literature? Can they do some more background reading with the knowledge that they've actually already produced a decent template? So I think I just remember when I was a kid in school and we were learning maths, the maths teachers would always say to us, you need to learn how to do this because you're not going to be walking around with a calculator in your pocket in the future. And then what happened? We all had mobile phones. We had a technology that came and made, I wouldn't say it made it redundant, but it massively assisted our ability to be able to do this. So do we use this as a tool, or do we say to students, you could use this, but it's going to severely degrade your ability to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And these are soft skills that you actually need to develop and learn and hone yourself. So what is the answer? I don't know. Stuff is still going to shake out and fall in a variety of different places. And I think the first step is basically just understanding this is here, it's powerful. It can be used in a variety of different ways, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. Everyone needs to try it. I'm not sure that my American history is not so great, but I think Richard Nixon declared the war on drugs. I'm not sure the war on AI will work out in our favor. I'm sure Terminator 2 highlights the success of that. But I think fighting it in an arms race is not going to work. People will always use it to cheat. So I think you're right that we really need to just meditate on this. And again, I really appreciate your time, because I think what you've shown there is an exciting way to understand AI. And I think you've done an incredibly good job at doing it in a short time. So thanks again so much.
Cheers. That's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I hope everybody enjoyed it and found it useful.